Welcome back to Joy of the Hang. It's Sharon and Lauren again. Hi, Lauren.
Hi, Sharon. How are you?
I'm great today. Just got back from a really fun weekend in New York City. I was up there to support my daughter, but while I was there, it was Fashion Week.
And you fucking crushed it. Your outfit was insane.
Thank you. Yeah, I had to. I had a lot of fun with it. So I went to a day show at 11 o'clock in the morning, which was a Runway 7 fashion show, and they featured fashions from, I would say they were kind of Indian in that, from India. So they were really amazing. Bright colors this year, a lot of like folds in the fabric.
So they were dot, not feather.
Yes, exactly. Well, there's lots of feathers too, actually, but yes. But you know what I loved about that show? The women were all different shapes and sizes. So it wasn't just all stick figure models at the show.
Love that. They're getting better about that.
Yeah, I mean, they were just beautiful. And then there were just a lot of like really big flowers and artistic looking dresses that were amazing. And then the show ended with Native American clothing, which was fantastic. I mean, and they played it with this music that was very moving and all about rising up and just rebuilding the whole Native American culture. And that one was really, really special. So I was excited to be there.
Yeah, I've never been to Fashion Week, but I'm dying to go. And you and I have agreed we're going to go together next year. But I just enjoyed looking at all the pictures of you in that red sheer dress with the silver boots. I mean, you know how I feel about boots.
You're my inspiration.
As the young girls would say, and I'll keep it PG, you were serving, Sharon.
Oh,
you were totally serving.
Thank you. I love that dress. So, and that one I wore to the night show, which was the Blondes New York show, which was really high fashion. So that one, actually, Fern Mallis, who is the founder of New York Fashion Week, was in attendance, and everybody was, oh my gosh, yeah, Fern. And she actually sat 2 rows in front of me, and I spoke to one of her assistants there who was also talking to me about the Miami fashion show that's coming up.
So were you like talking to her assistant's assistant?
No, I was talking to like the real one.
No, but I mean, you know, these famous people don't just have assistants.
Oh.
There's also an assistant to their assistant. And sometimes the assistant to the assistant has an assistant.
No, 100%. She had an entourage with her, for sure. She did. And everybody, when she walked in, of course, she was sitting front row, and I was 2 rows behind her, and everybody was coming up to her. And I'm like, who is that? Who is that? So now I follow her on Instagram, of course.
Yeah, they have the full entourage to make sure that, you know, everything's going well, that they're dressed impeccably. I mean, sometimes I think most of us as we get older would like to have that entourage just to make sure we don't have panty lines, to make sure that both our nipples are pointing the same direction, they're in the same place, you know, all those important factors.
Well, that's what our girlfriends do for us, right?
That's true.
That's our hang squad.
That's our hang squad. You got to make sure your girl does not have panty lines on. Help a girl out.
Gets lettuce out of her teeth.
Why would you not tell someone that they have lettuce in their teeth?
I know.
Or a booger in the nose?
Yeah.
Like, would you rather your friend walk around and...
No, I mean, that's what a best friend does. As a matter of fact, one of my best friends actually picked the lettuce out of my teeth once. She's like, wait a minute, let me get that for you. And I'm like, now that's a real friend.
That's a real friend, for sure.
That's a real friend right there, yeah. So yes, Fashion Week was amazing. And it started snowing Saturday night in New York. So I literally left the hotel. I was going to wear different shoes actually that night. I was going to wear pumps to show off my long legs. But I put the boots on because it was snowing out, and that's the most winter thing I had with me.
Yeah, boots also, I feel like if you like high heels, you can wear boots around more comfortably for longer periods of time. I think it's something to do with the way they make the boot with the arches. I mean, I'm not a shoemaker, but I wear a ton of heels and own a ton of boots, and I just feel like you can walk everywhere all around.
Yeah, I promise you I would have fallen on my ass if I had worn other shoes. Oh, and have you ever heard of the Glam Squad? Have you ever heard of that?
Glam Squad.
So they actually come to your hotel and do your hair and makeup.
Shut up.
So I hired the Glam Squad to come do my hair and makeup before I went out Saturday night. And these 2 women just showed up and brought all their makeup and brought all their hair stuff.
That's so fun. Do you kind of explain to
awesome.
them the look you're going for?
Well, normally one would, but as the hairdresser is saying, do you have an inspiration picture? And I'm like, that would have been a great idea, but no. So I just had her do a sleek blowout, kept it straight.
I think it's kind of fun too if you do something like that. You kind of want to look a little over the top or different, or I should speak for myself. I certainly am a little challenged when it comes to doing my own hair, makeup. I mean, I do my own. I don't have anyone doing it. But so I think that if I ever had someone come prep me for an event like that, I'd be like, make me a little over the top, like use like a blue eyeshadow or make my lips look really big or just something so I felt like I looked better than if I had done it myself.
Right, exactly. And that's what I always feel like I struggle with eye makeup specifically. So they really made my eyes pop and the lips. I had her do the lip color, the same color as the dress, which I loved. But anyway, so that was a super fun night. And Haley was, unfortunately, she had a great audition at Columbia University. And I didn't get to see her much because she left at like 7 a.m. and didn't get back till 1:30 in the morning that night. It was an all day thing, and then Sunday morning up and at it and early.
She got back at like 1 a.m. from interviewing.
1:30 in the morning. She finally got back. Yeah, they met after, I guess, at somebody's apartment and just kind of strategized for the next day. So.
Yeah, usually you get back at 1 a.m. At least there's a cocktail or something fun in there.
These kids are serious. It was a very competitive program. There were only 10 people that were chosen to audition worldwide. So there were people from Russia there and China and all over trying to.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, trying to get one of these positions. So that left a lot of time for me to fill, and I was like, okay, what do I do? But anyway, I had a great time. It was a lot of fun.
Well, we missed you at the Out of Africa party we did here in Sarasota, and let me tell you, I do not think I've seen more cheetah print in my entire life. What was surprising is there was like no zebra. I mean, I do think it's kind of funny to that point that the outfit I was supposed to wear was total zebra that was so cool that I literally just got delivered by FedEx today.
Oh, shoot.
I was so pissed. I was so excited to wear this cool zebra onesie. I literally would have been the only one at the party in zebra and not cheetah. I was trying to think, why is everyone in cheetah? Does everyone think like cheetah sexier than zebra or lion or tigers? I guess it's just also more prevalent. Like if you go to a store, you're going to see a lot of cheetah dresses. You certainly don't see a lot of zebra.
Yeah, no, I saw the photos from it. It looked amazing. Looked like I missed a good time. And No Filter was there, right? The band.
No Filter, that band is so, that drummer with her pink hair and they have that fan on her. I mean, I could literally just watch that drummer drum.
I know. We had them at our wedding night.
Yeah, they might be one of the best bands in the area. Pretty much someone hears No Filters playing and you want to go to the event.
Yeah, no, it was fun. And I know it was sold out. And our friend Lisa did a fantastic job putting it together.
Yeah, it was a great party. I went through all the video I took after. It's so funny. Like, in the moment, you're like, yeah, get this. I'm cool. Check me out. And you're like grinding your friend's leg or you're like shaking your butt. And in the moment, you're like, I look cool as shit.
Right. And then you look back at the video and go,
then you look back at the video the next day and you're like,
did that really happen?
Delete, next one, delete. I mean, I think I deleted literally like every video I took except for maybe one.
Oh my God, that's nice. So that was our Saturday, and Sunday was Super Bowl Sunday, and I probably am one of the only people that did not see the game or the ads or anything. So,
yeah, it was. I think everyone was totally surprised. I mean, I'm from Philly, so go Birds, but no one expected it to be a blowout. And technically a blowout is when there's at least 17 points differential. So clearly they had more than that. It was just crazy. No one expected the Eagles to beat the Kansas City Chiefs by that much.
Yeah,
they dominated it. And a lot of us, I really want to, yes, I'm from Philly. I'm not as hardcore an Eagles fan as my husband, but I just love Saquon Barkley. I think he got totally fucked by the Giants. And so the fact that he gets to, have a Super Bowl win coming to the Eagles is just fantastic. I mean, I'm not about screwing people over. I think you need to treat people well, and he's a superstar. And to that note, how about the booing of Taylor?
Yeah, that was horrible. I did see that on the news, and I was like, that is horrible. First of all, I don't think anybody should be booed. I mean,
I just don't get
and
it. I don't get what people
sitting there.
they hate.
Yeah, I mean,
who cares?
Right.
They always show wives or celebrities. It's like we lived in LA for years, and you could not watch a Lakers game. I'm sure it's the same. I haven't watched a Lakers game since we left California like 10 plus years ago, but every time you'd watch a Lakers game, they'd pan to the audience of all the celebrities that were there, and nobody seemed to mind. I just don't understand the hate. Like, is that really where your life is, that you have to spend time, remarking on somebody or you don't like them? I mean, do you even know Taylor Swift?
I know, and she was obviously very confused as well. And she's such a huge philanthropist, and whether you like her music or not,
who cares whether or not you like her music, right?
I mean, she's right, exactly. She's a great person who's done great things. And I did see a comment. It was interesting. This comment that I did see on one of the Facebook threads was, he said, how would you concert fans like it if at a Taylor Swift concert they kept showing football videos? And I was like, oh, that's an interesting take on it. Like, I think they're just sick of seeing her at every Chiefs game. I can see where that was.
Such a small amount of time in the extra long game that they have.
Right.
The 3 hours, 15 minutes, whatever it is of the football game. It just seems so...
It was petty
stupid.
and horrible.
I mean, you know what? Like, for all these people, like, you know what? Take a minute, scratch your balls, okay, while she's, like, on camera. Or do something, go get in the kitchen and get another beer while she's on camera. Get over yourself and it's really not that long she's on camera.
And first of all, Lauren and I do not like mean girls or mean guys. So, what? We are not all about that. And
we are not at all about that. And I just think that's sad. If you need to take time out of your life to tear somebody else down, you need to self-reflect. You need to look in the mirror. Yeah, you need to look in the mirror pretty hard. You need to have a conversation with yourself. You need to have a self-imposed timeout.
Damn. What she said.
Right? Self-imposed timeout.
What she said. So we have talked in other episodes about Gillian Anderson's book, Want, which is all about sexual fantasies.
Yeah, which everybody has. Guys, girls, everyone has sexual fantasies.
Everybody does. According to Dr. Ruth, women seem to have them more than men because men are visual creatures. So men would be more apt to watch porn or watch a video.
Right.
Whereas a woman can use her imagination and fantasize more so than a man. Would you agree?
I do think that's the case. And certainly, I don't know if you saw it, but Nicole Kidman just had a movie come out called Baby Girl.
Baby Girl, yeah.
I watched it actually, and I think it was really well done. And, she's this high-powered exec, married, 2 kids. So I don't want to talk all about the movie in case someone hasn't listened to it, but there's, sexual fantasy involved. And I just think it's very normal and realistic. And I think that any of us should not feel like we're weird or confused or freakish. I think that the biggest thing, if you are in a relationship, is being able to communicate with your partner.
Yeah, well, and I think that's why the series 50 Shades of Grey was so popular with women, especially, like fantasizing about the whole BDSM world and everything that involves. I think people were curious about it. I mean, that was just a huge success. I think nobody really expected it, and I think people were surprised by it.
They were, but I also think women really like that series because of how attached he was to her.
Yeah.
Sort of like all the vampire series where
Twilight,
Twilight, Edward was so into Bella. And I think women, find that very, I don't want to say comforting, but intriguing, just sexy too, and something you'd want, that a guy would just, above anything and everything wants to be with you.
Well, but it was in a domineering way. So it's all about being submissive versus being a dominant. So that part of it I thought was very, it's an interesting psychology about dominatrix and being a dominant, and how to be a submissive in a safe way. I mean, there was a lot in that book or in that series that I found fascinating, and it wasn't all accurate, I don't think, about the BDSM world. So there was some controversy about it when it
Yeah, I just think what's great is if you can normalize it. And I'm sure there are plenty of people out there, for whatever they have that goes on internally in their head, you want to feel like it's normal. I mean, you certainly don't want to never have an orgasm or never have pleasure. So it's great if you can find a way with your current partner, future partners, to be able to enjoy yourself, explore in certainly a safe, environment.
Explore your fantasies. So I want to read one from Gillian's book that I kind of liked. It's kind of tame, so so that's why I pulled it. But this one says it's from a mixed race American Catholic, heterosexual. She's single. She says, or he, I'm not sure, it doesn't say male or female. I lie completely flat on the bed and let go until I can't think. My mind is blank. There's just pleasure. When we come together, he screams my name. He doesn't hurt me or make fun of me or offer any critique of my body or the sounds I make or the way I move. In short, he doesn't do any of the things that make sex frightening and uncomfortable. Afterwards, he continues to kiss me, and we lie there together without speaking, just smiling at each other. We fall asleep, and I actually sleep through the night. In the morning, he wakes up before me but leaves me to sleep. When I wake up, he holds me, brushes the hair off my face. And after I'm up and showered and teeth brushed, he wants to do it again. Writing this has made me think of a quote I saved on my phone. I just want a humble, murderously simple thing, that a person be glad when I walk into the room. I guess that's the common thread in all my sexual fantasies. A man I think is special who sees me as special, who is thrilled that I am the person in bed with them, someone who is kind in general, but specifically wants to be kind to me. The experience of someone liking you so much, sex is the only way to express it. Murderously simple. I love that, don't you?
I do like that, but isn't it crazy? Like, my mind is just burning and churning right now, because it just shows how different we all are. It makes you wonder about that person's past, because to me, that seems like, oh my God, shoot me in the head now.
It's a boring fantasy.
It seems so boring, or the thought of having sex
simple.
like that. It just, so simple, it just seems, sort of like plebeian sex to me. But again, what works for one person doesn't work, for the other. I mean, it's just hard for me to imagine that just sort of lying and so like quaint and simple on the bed, when I want to be sort of like, thrown up against a wall and, or bent over a couch. It's just so different. But that's what, it'd be a boring world if we were all the same. And why should sexual fantasies be any different? It's hard to think of that as being a fantasy. It makes me wonder.
I know, it's kind of like
what sex she's having now.
I know. She just wants someone to love her, right? To make her feel special.
Yeah.
So that's
cool. I guess that's like cuddling. I'm really not a cuddler. Yeah. I think I'm way more like a guy, sort of like wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Like the whole cuddling thing.
All right, so I guess I read one that was too safe. So we're going to go a little bit not as safe on the next one. But I wanted to read a little bit from the introduction of Gillian's book. And again, it's called Want. And it says, so much has changed in our social and sexual relations in the 50 years since My Secret Garden was first published. My Secret Garden is another book that she actually found when she was preparing for her role as a sex therapist. So I don't know who the author is of My Secret Garden, but it is not Gillian. And then she goes on to say, have women's deepest internal desires also changed? I am a woman with a sex life and fantasies of my own, and I was curious to know the ways in which a diverse group of other women's fantasies were similar to or different from mine. Dear Gillian was a call for women to share the sexual fantasies, thoughts, and feelings that so many of us hold in our heads, but so rarely speak out loud. A chance to gather the voices of women worldwide into a new book of fantasies for a new generation. At the close of the submission deadline, the combined letters counted 800,000 words. Wow. We had received enough entries of fantasies to fill at least 8 volumes. Clearly, there was a need for people to share. Fascinating.
It is fascinating, and it certainly, is interesting that it's all done anonymously. If they gave you that 800,000 volume number, I'm now intrigued by the thought of if they weren't anonymous, how many women would send something in. I mean, yeah. I think anyone knows me knows that I'm being truthful when I say I would put a fantasy in there and put my name on it. Now, maybe that's because in my own warped mind, I see my, fantasies as okay, not overly like shocking or, I'm not working right now. I'm not worried I'm going to get fired from a job by putting my name on it. But it would be interesting to see who would be okay with putting their name on it.
So this is an interesting question. Now you're 53. I'll be 59 next month. A lot of these letters are from younger women. So my question is, at your age, do you feel like you still have fantasies, or have you been able to experience most of the fantasies that you had in your younger years?
Well, that's a good question too, in terms of, do you ever experience any of the fantasies that you have in your head? I guess it would depend, what the fantasies are. I think I've always had fantasies when I was younger, even now at 53, and I think they've always sort of been similar. So, yeah, I totally still have fantasies now. I think all women have. It doesn't matter how old you get. It's sort of the same with, still having sex.
So a fantasy for you just stays in fantasy land. It doesn't become reality.
I guess it would depend on the fantasy that I have. I mean, I've had fantasies of, being wanted by a ton of men. So something like being on a stage stripping, and no, I'm never,
you're not going to do that.
That wasn't going to happen. I was never going to go, on a stage and strip. I do recall being in high school one time and having a party at my house and trying on a bunch of lingerie that I had bought for some of my guy friends that were over. So I guess that in some ways is sort of semi-exploring like a sexual fantasy as I was trying that stuff on. For guys, I've been in a shower with 3 guys, so certainly some things like that. So some fantasies I think are easier to come to fruition than others.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
How about you?
It's funny because sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't have any fantasies anymore, right? And then there's sometimes like, oh yeah, I guess I could think of a couple if I was pushed. And I agree. I think that just having that fantasy and talking about it in bed with your partner, to me, it heightens the experience. I like having that visual in my head. I don't need to have porn on the TV or anything while we're fooling around. But if he's talking to me about a dirty scene or something, I find that really hot.
Yeah, I like that too. With the porn thing, though, to me, it's just, I don't know. I guess I'm so aware in my mind that it's not real that I have trouble having that help turn me on. It's sort of like there are tons of like really good looking guys that do some of those like magic Mike things that you see in Las Vegas, what have you. But in my mind, when I see them, I for some reason assume that they're gay, which
Right.
is here nor there. I don't care if somebody is gay, but it's hard for me to have a fantasy about being with a guy
Right, that may be
if I think he's gay, because then obviously he's not interested in me if he's gay.
Yeah.
So for the whole thing with watching the porn, I just for some reason look at them and see them as actors. So that's
Well, me too. And sometimes I find it funny and it makes me laugh because I'm just like, some of it is so unrealistic to me that they're doing, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just, yeah. So not always a turn on for sure. All right,
No.
let me read one more and then we'll wrap this up.
Go for
it. This one might be better. All right. I would do anything to fuck my best friend's brother. I don't think it's healthy to want someone this much. Maybe it's a simple case of wanting what you can't have, and I can't have him. He's off limits, tall, dark, and handsome, hung like a god, I imagine. Every day, I fantasize that I bump into him at a bar. With a bit of liquor confidence, we begin to flirt. I can smell the whiskey on his breath. I want to taste it on his mouth. He leans close and whispers in my ear. He confesses he's wanted me for years. I imagine kneeling in front of him and taking him in my mouth. I picture the whites of his eyes as they roll to the back of his head, his soft pants encouraging me. Nothing is more rewarding than the sound of a man moaning while he's down your throat. I imagine his 5 o'clock shadow scratching my skin between my thighs, running my hands through his hair as he devours me completely. My back is arching. I feel it in my toes already. He's so good at it. I just know he'd be so good at it. I should feel guilty, but it's not my fault. Her brother is so hot. And it's hard to feel bad when the things he's doing to me feel so damn good. I imagine his tongue traveling up my body, licking my stomach, my chest, sucking my neck, my favorite spot. When he sinks his teeth into me, my head spins. Speaking of favorite spots, I bet he knows where to find the most important one. Over and over and over again. I imagine he'd be gentle at first, so gentle and tender, it's almost emotional, but then I whisper, faster. And he sets a new pace, and then I'm panting harder between thrusts until he's fucking me into oblivion. God, I want to be absolutely filled by him. I like to imagine us trying to keep quiet while his sister's in the next room. Why is the risk of getting caught always so thrilling? The thought of him covering my mouth while he's pounding into me makes me dizzy. She never catches us, though. Our secret will always be safe. He pulls out and orders me to get on all fours. Bossy. I like it. I do as I'm told before he roughly grabs my hips and dips the front of my body down on the bed. He licks his fingers and swipes them up and down my slit until he finally slips two inside of me. He begins to pump in and out of me at a torturous pace. He knows I'm close. He can feel it. He finally grabs his cock and thrusts into me. I wouldn't usually consider myself very vocal in the bedroom. In fact, the most a guy has ever gotten out of me are a few heavy pants, but with him, I'm roaring. Every pump, every thrust is ecstasy. His sister can definitely hear us. Without warning, he flips me around and slams back into me so hard that I almost pass out. I'm coming and coming and coming. I'm screaming at the top of my lungs. He makes me see stars. He makes me forget his name. He's talented like that, I imagine. Oh, and this is from a Catholic Filipino.
See, I love that one. But I have to admit, to me, that's very sort of doable or achievable. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to be taken to Pound Town by your best friend's brother. I mean, it's not like
That's true.
It's not like it's her husband, or I mean, that might be a little like awkward. But I mean, I'm trying to think. I don't recall having a friend that had a brother that I was ever into, but I mean, you know, I have two girls and a son.
We better respond and write to her and say, "Go for it, girl."
That one's great. I like how she interjects in there too the size of his package.
She imagines.
Well, she imagines, because I always talk about that with some friends. I like how I said always. It's like, yeah, every day I meet with my friends and we talk about size of guys' penises. But talk about it in the sense of, you know, I've been with more than one guy, Sharon. Shocking, isn't it?
Oh, my God.
I know. So I've been with more than one guy, and I would say that I can definitely remember a guy I was with who was very small, where I was literally like, is it in? I mean, literally, like, I wouldn't have been able to marry that person.
Yeah, I get it.
But then I've also been with someone who was so incredibly large that I thought, oh my God, there's no way I could give this guy a blowjob like every day for the next 50 years.
Right.
Because it's hard. I mean, so I think that they're sort of like the average size. Right. You know what I mean?
It's a happy medium.
There's definitely a happy medium.
Yeah, I agree. So any other fantasies that you can think of?
No, I think that at the end of the day, you want to be able to enjoy yourself. And I think that when I reflect on the whole fantasy thing, I just would hope, and you and I have talked about this with our podcast and hanging out with all of our friends, and when you and I hang out, just talking about, what you can do in the realm of possibility to make any of the fantasies you might have in your head come true, whether it's having a certain job, dating a certain guy, having your partner do something in bed. I think as long as it's safe and, that both parties consent, what have you, why not make all your fantasies, reality?
Yeah, it's kind of YOLO, right? You only live once. I mean, if you want something and your partner is into it, why not make it happen?
Yeah, and then maybe if it's, something you don't want to do, I'm sure people have multiple fantasies. So I'm sure that you can make your partner happy by, making one or two fantasies come true. It doesn't mean you have to make them all come true. I mean, most people have several fantasies, not just one.
True. Yeah. I wonder if men have the same fantasies as women.
Well, except for maybe that Catholic Filipino who is probably still just thinking about her friend's brother.
I wonder if they made that happen.
Right?
Wouldn't you want to follow up? Now I want to follow up.
I want to follow up, yeah. That's what we need, a follow-up to all of the people who wrote these fantasies.
Yes.
Has anyone actually had one of their fantasies, come true?
Gillian Anderson, are you listening? Because we need follow-ups to all of these letters.
Sharon, have you ever had one of your fantasies come true?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Have you?
Yes.
Yeah. I've had more than one come true. Yeah. I mean, I have. I'm 58, almost 59. So.
Well, you're only a couple years. Only a couple years older.
I've been fortunate for sure.
Anyway, for all of you out there listening, you got to get on the line with us somehow. Let us know what your fantasies are. Maybe put yourself under user 11235699901 and tell us what your fantasies are. We all have them, and I think it's great. It's fun to talk about over, a glass of wine. And if your friends don't appreciate, you talking about stuff like that or having fantasies, come hang with our group because it's no holds barred. And I don't have a brother, but if you wanted to take my brother to Pound Town, I'd be all over it.
Yeah, and shoot us a text. We have a fan button that you can connect. You can connect to us, and also on our website, joyofthehang.com, you can send us information. If there's anything you want to hear about, any subject you want us to tackle, please let us know. And we'd love to have some engagement from our audience. That would be awesome. So we always end the episode with some advice we might give our younger self. Would you like to go? Do you have any advice today for your younger self?
As I always tell you, Sharon, on every episode, I always have advice for my younger self. And today, as I am talking and in severe pain because I just had all the little nubbins put on my teeth from my Invisalign and my teeth are sore. And my teeth are pretty darn straight, Sharon, but I don't pull punches. I mean, I am vain. I have vanity and I want my teeth to be absolutely perfect. I've been honest about having a boob job and doing Botox, what have you, but I would tell my younger self, wear your fucking retainer.
There you go.
Yeah. Every night. You can't just wear it for a year, a couple times at night. You need to literally wear it for the rest of your life, at least 4 nights a week to keep your teeth perfectly straight.
Yeah, and I think just taking care of your dental health overall is so important.
You look, come on, you look at someone, you look right at their teeth. Teeth are a big thing now.
It's a big thing, right? It's one of the first things you see is someone's smile. So,
what would you tell your younger self?
Oh my gosh, I should be prepared for this week after week. I think after coming off of a weekend in New York where I was mostly alone for most of the time, I think I would just tell myself to be in the moment, be present, enjoy where you're at. Don't be afraid of going solo. I think I would just, I think in the past, I've had a lot of anxiety about going to events alone, and it was very empowering to be able to go to these events by myself and feel good about myself. It gave me some confidence. I got to talk to a couple of lovely ladies that were sitting next to me. One in particular, who I'll just quickly share, she was a young woman, had her first baby when she was 19. She lived on a Indian reservation in Canada and had 3 young girls. And it was there supporting her sister-in-law who was modeling. And her middle daughter actually wanted to go to Harvard, or wants to go. She's 12 years old. And she's still living on a reservation, doesn't get great education on the res. So she was talking to me about, bringing her stateside and putting her in private school. And so I felt really good that I was able to give her some advice on what kind of path. I mean, she's at the perfect age to start building her resume for college. So anyway, we just had a really great conversation. And so you just never know who you're going to meet when you put yourself out there. And don't let fear stop you from making that move, I guess.
Yeah, and keep in mind, you mentioned about helping someone out, being kind, and I think in our next episode, stay tuned, we're going to mention a few things you didn't know about some of the people we've had on our podcast already, things about Sharon and me as well. And, you think you might listen to someone in a moment and have their whole life story figured out because they're laughing or making jokes or live in a nice house, and you don't really know what someone's full story is or what they're going through. So we're going to cover that a bit in our upcoming episodes, just sort of, sharing a few things so people realize, like, slow your roll, don't judge. You really don't know what someone's dealing with.
Amen. Life is short. Be kind, everyone. Be kind.
Be kind.
All right, Lauren. Peace out. Till next time.
Peace out.